This meeting is being recorded.
Lovely.
Dave, can you send me the link via email?
No, I don't know if I did or not. I might have, but if
No,
not,
I was wondering if you could.
How did you get in, Ray? How did you get in if you haven't got the link?
I got in the link through the seagoing chat, but I only have the chat on my iPhone, and I don't know how to send it to
right.
my.
Okay.
And the iPad.
Right.
You can copy the link, send it to your email, and then go in that way.
Yeah.
Well, I tried that, but when I clicked on it, it doesn't copy. It just joins into the meeting.
Hello, Dave.
I'll try again.
All right. Ray's leaving the building, and Hilda, good to see you.
Hi.
Lovely. Welcome to the Colonel-less and Steve Walkerless crew
and
bar.
bollocking freeless.
Yeah, exactly. They're all out. They're going either on a cruise, going on a cruise, or like Angelo already on the cruise.
All right for some, isn't it?
It is.
There's three cruise bar players on a cruise at the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't.
How the other half live?
I know. It is. It's bloody marvellous. Fruity, what flavour did you come in on? WhatsApp or Messenger?
I got through on WhatsApp in the end. The problem is I've got WhatsApp on my phone and on my laptop. So I then had to get it synced between the two before it would let me come in.
Oh, very nice. Lovely. Well, I've sent passcodes out also now to use the passcode for some are getting in anyway. I think Blackpool Bob, you came in on was it on the Messenger?
I think it was.
Well, it wasn't on. It wasn't on Messenger. It wasn't on Messenger.
I'll have a look now on my phone.
Have a look.
Right, it's now come up on Messenger.
There we are. And have I added on the last one saying about using the passcode if you can't get in?
Yeah, I put that in.
It's WhatsApp that I came in on.
You came in on WhatsApp.
Yeah, but it's only just come up on Messenger.
Right.
For some reason.
No, it must be a delay from the New Forest have got new legislation about only sending out so many details every hour.
The bloody ponies.
It's
by a pony, Dave.
It is. It's a load of pony crap. Yeah.
The Colonel sent a message saying, "Good luck, Dave. We board our flight at 7:15 your time, so I will pop in." So he'll probably do that and fuck the whole thing up. Fruity,
he's been in and out twice already since you've been trying to connect us. He has.
Why did he have a mask on?
And you've not had a bollocking yet, Dave.
I'm still getting a bollocking from Steve Walker, who's already on the cruise on the Regal Princess, because he rang me twice this morning and I had the phone on silent, so I never answered. But he was very good. We did what he said was that they had a real nightmare to get out to join the ship yesterday from Manchester. They had big delays at the airport. They had about luggage. They had to go up another level to get luggage put in. Then there was somebody that had a medical thing behind him. Then the plane took off, and the next thing is they couldn't land it. It was too windy. They had to relocate. Anyway, there were about 20 passengers on the flight that were going on the ship. Anyway, they held the ship up, and the ship was delayed by an hour or two before it set sail. But anyway,
where did they join it? Where was that?
They're joining it in Naples.
Yeah, but Dave, wasn't he going from Manchester to somewhere in Germany or something?
Yeah, he went to Munich.
He had to go to Munich first, and then the follow-on was there was issues with the weather.
Right.
So it's good to see that we're all still here in the UK, including Izzy coming in. So it'll be nice to know how he's come in, you know, whether it was on the WhatsApp or what, you know, but
So can you send Ray Zachary?
I haven't renamed anybody yet, have I? I'll send us.
Oh, Dave, I'll do it. I'll do it. Dave, I'll do it.
To his email. To his email.
Yeah, to his email.
Jay.
Actually,
Is
we don't
he?
need to-
Pete, Dave, Bob,
Pete, good
Brendan.
indeed.
Gizzy,
Hi, Gizzy.
Dave, we don't need to rename people tonight, surely.
Yes, because otherwise I'll get a bollocking from Colonel.
Right.
Pete,
You can do it afterwards, Dave.
It's probably only you that can do it.
it is. Oh, I haven't even put you on the thing, Fruity. Hang
No,
on.
because I've just gone to do John into Super Tart and I couldn't do it.
Hang on, you will do because I'm gonna. Where's Fruity? More. You are now a co-host with Pete. More.
Me.
Yeah.
Brendan, how's Cherry?
And
She's well. Thanks for asking, Dave. She's good. When they messed around with her system, her pipe work, so to speak, it's been all resetting your pipe work inside. It just takes time to settle down. So she'll have a couple of good days, and then it'll just anything she eats, you know, straight through. So, and she gets pretty tired, and she's lost quite a bit of weight. But she's on the road. We went out today, actually, for the first time since she's come out of hospital. I got her in a car, and we actually went for a 20-minute walk along in Folkestone there.
Good,
so she's good. Thanks for asking, guys. And the messages that everyone sent, it's lifted her up. You know, it's keeps the spirits up because she was getting pretty fed up.
Send her love from everybody.
I will do.
Yeah.
I will do.
Give
the
our
operation,
regards,
Brendan?
Brendan, please.
Sorry, John.
What was the operation?
Oh, sorry, I didn't hear.
What was the operation?
It was she had a blocked and distended lower bowel, and it was an emergency operation. Otherwise, she would have been curtains. So
I
she went-
I had a similar problem about. So well, that would be about about 60, about 5 or 6 years ago, I suppose it was.
yeah.
I had a colostomy operation about 15 years ago, and it's and
J.R. Miles. Please meet your family.
what's going on?
Can you ask the Colonel at the airport? Ask the Colonel to mute himself, please.
All right, John. I'll catch you in a minute, John.
Can you ask the Colonel to mute himself, please?
I'll
It's
just
causing
try
a
and
problem.
mute
Okay, I'm in the lead, guys.
No, don't, Colonel. I'm still putting in all the names at the moment. Not Blackpool, but I'm on the first row.
Oh, okay, because I repasted the links, so it should work good now.
You should be wearing a big black hat as well, John.
It's got nothing to do with Colonel. All right, we've done this all together. He's gone now. That's it. He's gone. He's gone. He's flipping gone. We've had a challenge tonight that we've done well. Brendan, you like to be known as the Brendan the co-act. Look, you are
I don't know what you're going to come out with now.
you are my anchor man.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
David, by the way,
Yeah.
it doesn't let me do anything if you have made me a co-host.
I have made you a co-host.
Yeah, it does sod all.
Well, it's a bit like me. Hang on. Anchor.
We'll have no Will Smith moments tonight either.
Right. I'm
Well, I got my handbag with me.
because I met up with Will Smith literally hours after the event. And do you know what he gave me?
Right-hander.
Oh, David.
There we are. All right.
I know.
He said it's given him too much trouble, so he's given it to me. All right. You like that? You like it? Yeah, it's camping.
Very good.
Very good, Dave. Very, very good.
Very good.
Oh dear.
So how did
We've
you
got our
end
own
up
Oscar
holding,
anyway.
James?
Who's that coming in?
We got a real one.
Mr. Sacri's here. Good
Raymond.
morning, Raymond.
Brendan,
Yeah, I'm
you,
good.
you,
I just had to I just had to clean my screen, and I would not recommend doing that in the middle of a Zoom call.
No.
But
no.
Dave, it looked like a seagull that crapped on your forehead. So
No, that what your screen didn't need cleaning then.
Brendan, talking about Oscar Brendan, you featured in one recently.
Oh, did I?
Yeah,
Oh,
last
really?
week. Yeah, it's
Was it
brilliant.
last week? Was it last
Yeah,
week?
yeah, it was last week. Yeah.
Is that the story where we picked him up in the alleyway there? He was in between two oil drums.
No, it's
He
when you
had a few vodkas.
no, it's when you set the galley on fire, making an egg and bacon toasty.
I did not. Where did you get that from?
I'm afraid it's
Flying dog.
It's an Oscar tale, so it's got to be true.
Oh, never.
It was marvelous. It was a good story.
Talking of toasties, can you remember the Amsterdam Jewess?
Blimey.
Used to do the night steward. Do you remember him?
Oh,
Rudy Drew.
Rudy.
Yes,
Drew.
Dizzy, good one.
Yeah.
You dug that one out. Yeah, I remember him.
Rudy Drew.
Let's get the sardies off him, didn't we, at night?
He was a bit.
Malcolm Williams that was on just recently. I guess he's not on here today because
Not
Rudy
yet,
had
not
this
yet.
habit of twisting his tongue upside down and poking his tongue out. His tongue was always hanging out.
That's right.
And
That's
Malcolm
right. Yeah.
Malcolm had T-shirts made in St. Thomas that had a face with the tongue hanging out, and it said, "Rudy Drew, lick you all over $1." And he was selling them.
He always reminded me of Mother Brock.
Yeah. And Rudy thought it was such a great idea. He started to sell them in his little shop.
Amazing.
Charlie.
Yeah, I wonder what happened to him.
Apparently, I heard a
selling
story
that.
about Rudy Drew. He retired, you know, and I can't think where the story came from, but he retired because he had an apartment in New York, didn't he? And he retired from the ship and got back to New York and died of a heart attack virtually within days. So he never did get his retirement.
He did. He died at the hotel up by the Hobby Nobby on the day he left. The day after he left the ship. I was
That's
there.
right. Yeah, something like that. Yeah. I think it was
He
you
died
that
the
told
very
us, wasn't it,
next
Ray?
day. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. He
went
retired and he
on
died virtually straight away, didn't he?
Yeah. The next day, when the crew bus was waiting to pick him up to take him to the airport, he wasn't there, and they found him in his room. Terrible. What a way to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did we relieve him of all his watches before he left?
About the handbag.
Yeah.
Right, hang on, I'll do that.
The Amsterdam Jewess.
That's right. I remember him now. Yeah.
Do you want to make food? Oh yeah,
Oh,
here we
he
are.
was a character, that's for sure.
He was, yeah.
How did you enjoy your trip to the Maldives, James?
Very nice, Robert. Very nice indeed.
Yeah.
Didn't have a drink for a week, mate.
You didn't have a drink.
I didn't have a drink for a week. Well, it's dry, isn't it?
Is it really?
Yeah,
still
unless
dry,
you go to the resorts.
Yeah.
You know, you see these pictures of the little bungalows and
Yeah.
those all inclusive. You can get what you like there, but we like to go to the the real islands where the natives live and what have you.
Muslim. It's all Muslim, isn't it?
Absolutely lovely.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, when I was there, when I was doing my national service, and I was there for 12 months, but we had a naffy.
Yeah. Well, things like that are accepted, but you can't, if you come in on the plane, they take all your duty frees off you and you can collect them on the way out, and you can't get a drink at all in Mali.
Wow.
But and unless you're in the international hotels, as they call them.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, I remember
No,
that.
I mean, I knew
that.
what the score was before I went, but I just needed to detox for a week. So I've been hitting it a bit just recently.
I remember that when we called there a few times, and I went ashore for lunch, and you couldn't get a drink.
That's right. Yeah.
Right.
Talking of Rudy's watches, I bought this from Rudy.
And it's still working.
I bought this from Rudy in 1978, and I wore it for probably 30 years, and it just kept going and going and going, and it finally quit, and I've kept it just for sentimental purposes.
Excellent.
It's an old Casio. And
Yeah.
I can't remember what I paid for it, but
Was that one of his
it's a bloody
$1.50
good
ones
watch.
if it went for 30 years?
Yeah,
Yeah.
he bought them in Puerto Rico and was selling them shortly after I joined the ship. I still have it.
Linky.
I probably
There you
put
go.
10 different watch straps on it over the years because the watch strap would wear out, but the watch kept going.
The way he used to set up shop in the mess room with his case, he was like a door-to-door salesman.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
right. Yeah, yeah.
Well, we never had a welfare, did we, on the side?
No, well, we know, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
He took the job of the welfare, didn't he?
Right. Colonel said sorry about the noise, but he's glad that the it's all up and running. Well, it is
We
running.
don't trust you, Dave.
Yeah, we are. He doesn't trust us. No, doesn't trust us at all. Not at
You
all.
see, he was worried about you, Dave. He's like a mother hen. Yeah.
Hey, now Charlie did. He did send a message through, and he's just said it's 20 degrees. He's just thinking of you, Brendan. All right. So it's Sandys Parish, Bermuda, 20 degrees. But hopefully, I mean, we'll see if he comes in shortly. But I wanted you to have an update, Brendan. I knew you'd be worried.
He makes me insanely jealous of where he lives. Bermuda.
Yeah. Oh, hey,
I when the weather's naff, I'm really pleased.
This morning we were down under. It was the Aussie Crew Bar, and Blackpool Bob, Matt, he did come in. He spoke to Macca, which was great, and
Oliver.
Steve were here. Ollie's just coming in now, which is great. But all was good. And we did have quite a few, really, didn't we, for down under, Pete?
Yeah, livened up after 10, 15 minutes. It was
It
good.
was about,
Very good.
10 of us, I think.
Yeah.
I think it was 13 in the end, wasn't it?
And Bobo's obviously back down there. Hello, Ollie. Good to see you.
Good evening. All right.
Hello,
everybody.
Ollie.
Marvelous.
Oliver.
Thanks for coming in, Ollie. Ollie, did you come in via the WhatsApp invitation or Messenger?
What do you say? You sent me
The link.
Zoom. Yeah, Zoom meeting.
Yeah. Which one did you use?
ID and passcode.
Were you using WhatsApp or Messenger?
That must be. I think that must be Messenger.
Okay, that's good. It's all right. We're just testing it because we're using Colonel's sort of invite through my laptop, and it wasn't as easy as normal. But I'm glad you're in there. That's good.
It was pretty easy, but same as what it was last week.
Lovely.
Oliver.
Don't say it too loudly because Fruity's just above you on my screen, and I nearly got a bollocking from Fruity. Let alone Colonel. All right.
Ollie, question.
The Colonel
Are you
just
going to
texted me.
the Pinot reunion?
Yeah, I'm going to it, but I'm not going to eat. I'm going to go down there.
Okay, I didn't see your name on the list. That's why.
Yeah, I'm just going to go down there, meet up with everybody.
Yeah.
And then when you shoot off for the meal, I'll probably meet you up afterwards in the pub or something.
Well, the reason why I'm asking you is because my other half is unable to go now.
Oh,
so if
right.
you want a meal, you're welcome to her place.
Okay. Yeah, all right, then I'll get back to you on that one.
Okay, all I've got to do is email David Dukes and just change the name. That's all.
Okay.
No,
busy, somebody's cropped up. She's unable to go that day now.
Bring Angela's drag down, and Ollie will wear it.
Well, that's fine. Yeah. Well, a little off the shoulder number, or
like last time, Ollie.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'll have to let your hair grow, Ollie.
You see, that's it. That's sorted. Yeah.
I want to be bald like Dave.
Yeah.
Ollie, we can soon find you a syrup, mate.
And Brendan.
Yeah.
On my screen, we're all three of us together. So we're all three baldies together here. Oh, and don't forget Pete.
Yeah. And for
Oh,
you,
that wasn't
the
very
others,
nice, was it, Pete?
No.
I'm not used to it now.
He comes on and he flipping slags us all our baldies off. He's not.
I was
He's
saying,
just
poor
Yeah.
bloke never said anything. And he got right by the kid.
it just reminded me of. You remember all the different things that Channel 4 News did, and it was the one where they you know, Andy Hiscox, brilliant
Yeah.
script writer for all the things, and he was the one who invented the new hair gel thing that would make you grow hair on bald heads. And they went and do you remember it? And
Yeah, Roger Cheney was in that
Colin
one.
It was so good. And he went into the salon and they had Joanna in there.
Yeah,
And
Roger
the
Cheney.
who was the table captain? The little table captain. He was as
Oh,
bald as
Dino.
Dino and Bungy. And of course, but
And Roger Cheney was in that one as well.
The girls, the CT girls, Pat and whoever, had the magic potion and polished, you know, did it all over the hair. And the next thing is whoosh, all full of hair. They said, but it does have adverse effects on the operator, you know, the ones doing the you know, and the girls then ended up with the bald wigs, you know.
The Colonel still has that. He has it on video.
You have to put it in, but yeah. Hands up, who remembers that?
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah. It was great.
I remember Bungy passing out in the crew bar one night, and he had just hair around the back of his head, and somebody, I don't remember who, took a black Sharpie and drew a face on his bald head. And he couldn't see it when he looked in the mirror. And he was walking around for about 3 days with this face on his bald head before finally somebody told him, and he was really angry.
But no,
I don't know how he got it off.
Zachary, we can add to it. It was, do you remember the electrician, Coco?
Yeah.
And we did the
Adam.
But of course,
Adam Bannister.
What was his name?
Adam Bannister.
Alan Bannister.
Oh,
Adam. Yeah.
We did it with a cork. We burned
Yeah,
the
it was black. Yeah, you
We
were
didn't
there.
have a cork. We didn't have a pen or anything, so we burned the end of a cork to black.
Yes.
And then we did this face on his head because he was completely out of it.
Didn't Fur Butcher call him Coco the Clown?
Yeah. Oh, it's great.
That's funny that you did
because the officers had a hobby cat, didn't they? The boat,
That's right? Yeah.
boat, wasn't it? And they went over to Martinique and they came through onto the beach, and we were all there, you know, bronzing and that. And I think Coco was one of the officers on the boat. Anyway, they set off from the beach again, and the wind whipped up and flipped the hobby cat, and it literally went bow down and aft end up, and Coco was on the flipping canvas of the center part of the hobby cat, slid down and straddled the mast, where you can imagine at speed. Honestly, talk about crushed nuts. He went straight into the mast and then did 180 degrees around, fell into the water, and then he came out of the water. And we said, crikey, are you in pain? You know, he said, yes, he said, but it's not my nuts. He'd landed in a load of those sea urchins. And he was,
fucking hell.
Oh dear.
He was so steaming drunk one night in the Starlight Lounge. He was one of the last to leave, you know. And you know those yellow rectangular tables, they went in a row all the way up to the stage. And he was sat on one of them, and he asked for a drink. So I turned my back and I was getting it from the bar. When I turned around, he was gone. And I thought, where's he gone? He was there a minute ago. And then he surfaced about 8 tables up. It's crawled all along the floor. It's fallen out of the chair legless, and it crawled all out under all the tables. And he'd come up the end table, and it's just saw the head come up. It was so funny. He used to get absolutely paralytic. He was the chief electrician, Adam Bannister. He was a lovely guy.
Yeah.
Dave,
Charlie,
Dave and
welcome from Bermuda.
Thank
All right,
you.
Charlie.
Good evening, all.
Thanks, Charlie.
Charlie.
Dave and I had our own.
How we
All right,
doing?
Charlie.
Yeah. Thanks for the
Dave.
weather report. I've already told Brendan.
Okay, all right. I'm
Is
sure
it-
he's
Is
disappointed.
it sunny or cloudy? Is it sunny or cloudy?
It's peeing down with rain. It's overcast.
Oh, what a
and cloudy.
shame.
Yeah.
What a shame.
I thought I was in England.
We had snow here last week.
We had
2
snow
days
here.
ago.
We had snow
Yeah, I
yesterday.
believe
Yeah,
so.
it snowed here yesterday.
Well, what one day this week, it was like being in Melbourne. We had all 4 seasons in the same day.
Yeah, yeah. That's true. Yeah, yeah.
Dave and I had our own hobby cat adventure. One afternoon in Acapulco, I rented a hobby cat, and I knew he was working on the back deck, the Wendy house, in the afternoon. I sailed back to the back of the ship from where I'd rented the hobby cat, and I yelled up at him, and he was off in about half an hour, and the gunport door was open on that side of the ship. So Dave said, "I'm coming." He came down, got onto the hobby cat. We sailed out into the middle of Acapulco Bay, and I was wearing clothes when I was wearing jeans and a shirt when I went out there, and then I had swimming shorts on, and he was sailing, and I stupidly decided that I'd climb forward on one of the pontoons of the hobby cat as far forward as I could get, like a scene from like the Titanic, and I reached out as far as I could, and I said, "Look at me, look." And I looked back, and with that added weight of being on the pontoon, the thing suddenly dived under the waves, and the whole thing flipped.
Yeah,
Dave was so mad at me. I lost my clothes. We ended up being rescued, and I had to go back to the ship in nothing but my swimming shorts. And I remember I was worried about running into Sammy Bradford, because he was always a stickler about what you wore when you went to shore, right? What you wore. And I had to go back soaking wet in my shorts. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do. But was that a separate incident to the sea battle when we took the
Yes,
eggs
that
and
was
the
separate.
tomatoes and all that? Yeah, right.
We should talk about that when the Colonel's on, because that was epic. The great Acapulco catamaran race or battle or whatever.
Yeah, it was that.
We actually damaged we actually broke one of the with the collision. We broke one of the catamarans.
Yeah, we did.
It was sinking.
Again, the boat got rescued and it got brought back to the beach, but luckily it was way down the beach from where the catamaran operators were. So we said we've just left the catamaran down the other end of the beach and then legged it. Oh dear. Yeah. So, but we weren't all bad all the time, Charlie. All right, we were good on occasions.
Can you remember those occasions?
No. No. They were very rare. Very rare. Oh, dear, all right. Hey, so we're talking about Australia this morning. Bobo was back down there, and he hadn't been too well with COVID, as like Blackpool Bob, but he was sort of back on the mend. And I don't know, did he say he was going to come in tonight, Bob?
I can't remember.
No,
He said he might.
He might.
Are you going to tell the story about what he's going to do in the next few months?
Well, is it the next few months, or is it his plan for next? Is it later this year?
Later this year, yeah. I think it's July.
July.
Yeah.
Well, Bobo will give you a more in-depth, updated details. But he is planning on coming back to the UK and as a full-time live-in, if you know what I mean. And he's got options. He's going to help his brother move when he's over in Ireland, which is where you're going to, Charlie, not too long. And then he will come back over, and he might be his son. Where's his son? Is his son in Coventry or
Nottingham? Was it Nottingham?
Kenilworth.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, between Stratford and Coventry.
Got it. Right. Well, he's planning. He might move there, whatever. But it looks like he's going to be back full time. So, which we'll be welcoming him back, obviously. But we love the reports from wherever he is. You know.
I wonder what went wrong.
Well, I maybe he didn't like the weather down there, did he, Bob? He
Well,
said
he was
too much rain.
Said it's been raining, but I mean that seems a bit drastic, isn't it? For a couple of weeks.
Hey, for a Brit, weather is really important, Bob.
Fucking hell. Yeah.
Oh dear. So anyway, that's it. So Hilda, obviously Sakari is one of your main interestees, and so is Blackpool Bob. What's next on the menu? And
well, funny enough, I was just going to say I made another chow pot today. I've just had some now.
I did too. I had mine for my tea today.
Well, I've made another one.
Potful on the stove.
I think it's one of the best ones I've done so far. I've tweaked it a little bit. I'll put the recipe on later on. I haven't typed it all out yet. I've only got the notes I wrote while I was making it.
Yeah.
But I've just had some now, and I had it with naan bread. I made some naan bread as well. But it was hot. But it's the nearest I think I've got so far to the traditional Goan chow pot.
Well,
I got some frozen chapatis from an online Asian store the other day, so I had chapati with mine.
Oh yeah,
delicious.
Excellent.
Yeah,
great.
I was going to send you my tweet.
You've got to have them with bread rolls.
Yeah.
Well,
the miserable old baker wouldn't give me any the old git.
Let's swap tweaks, because I had made some tweaks, and I was going to send you an email to say here's what I did, but I'm very interested to see yours. And also thank you very much for the pastries.
Danish pastry.
I haven't made them yet, but I'm going to.
Well, the fillings that I put there, I made, I think, 6 different shapes or varieties. I think I put a photograph. Did I put a photograph on there?
Yeah.
But the almond one does about half of that pastry, rolling it out and rolling it up like a Swiss roll, that type of thing, and then cutting it up and putting it on and one thing and another. It's a job to explain how to make the different shapes. You just got to, you can do what you like with it once you've got the pastry made, really. But the almond filling one with you need to put a bit of almond essence and lemon essence in it, as well as the lemon juice, to give it really a strong flavour. Because you only put it on and nearly wipe it off, but you get the flavour from that through the Danish. So and that, then also the icing on the top, the glaze, always put a bit of almond essence and lemon essence in there as well as making it with lemon essence. But warm it up, warm the essence and the water up first, because when you add it to the sugar, it will melt it down, not so it's clear, but so you can brush it over the top of the Danish while they're still hot, and then that just gives you a nearly a transparent glaze over it, and decorate it up with cherries or bits of fresh fruit, whatever you want to do, sort of thing. That's I made about 16, I think I got out of it, and gave some friends of mine 8 of them, and I've been having a couple for breakfast of a morning.
Do you freeze them? They freeze well, do they? And then you.
Well, I haven't froze them. If you're going to freeze them, I wouldn't put the icing on. You'd have to do that afterwards. I've not freezed them. I had them. I've had them in a fridge, and then I just put them in a hot oven for about 5 minutes, and it brings them back like fresh.
Is there any way you can send me a pack where I don't have to make them?
John, when you said you just sort of spray the essence over, is that how they used to make lobster beaks? Just dangle it over the top?
Make what?
Lobster beaks. Just dangle the lobster over the top.
Not the ones I made. I mean, I didn't have anything to do with that on the ships, but when I was managing the hotel in Goa, and I was doing all the menus and running the kitchen as well, and I used to have lobster bisque on the menu. But what I used to do was I'd get all the, I used to buy a load of king prawns and this sort of thing with the shells and everything on. But when we shelled them, the heads and the shells, I'd wash them off and then get them to boil them up, so you've got a good stock with the flavour of the prawns. And then the lobster, we only had about 28 rooms, so the most I ever had there was usually about 30 to 40 guests. But I used to get one large lobster, cook it off, and then that's the water from that. I'd use that as well as stock, and then we'd make the actual soup up and put your brandy and all the rest of it in there, and then I'd chop the lobster up and just put that on the top. And I used to get very, very good compliments on this lobster bisque because it was on I had a set menus similar to we used to do on the ships. Because we was half board, and most hotels used to do buffets, but staying in hotels myself, I prefer table service, which is what I did. But of course, I had to think of the costing all the time, so I did these menus out similar to the ships, where I had three starters. Why is it when I talk, the Colonel comes in? Colonel, shut up.
He's just popping in and out. Well, I don't know. Are you on the plane now?
Yes,
Yes, he's on the plane. He's in the cockpit. Oh, for God's sake. He's ready for takeoff. This is even better. This is live. This is live coverage, Hilda. This is marvelous. Great. Are you, Colonel, you're going to stand up now and say blah, 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 exits here, here, and here? Mark, can you hear us, Colonel?
He's muted.
Yeah, he is.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I can hear you.
Marvelous. Right. Yeah. Well, it's all right, Colonel. We've got Ollie is sitting as co-pilot in his chair.
He's got that, John. Look at his seat to yours.
I think Ollie must be he's in first class and you're in cattle class.
That's right.
Okay, I'm gonna go.
All right. Well, take care, Colonel, and we'll see you when you land. All right.
Okay, bye.
Take care. Take care. Cheers, mate. Bye. Bye.
Can I ask, where's he flying to?
I think he's only going down to
LA. He's going
Mexico.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he put a map on about an hour ago. He was flying from SeaTac to LA. So where he's going from there, I don't know.
I think they're doing a four-dayer out of probably out of LA, I guess. Mexico, isn't it? Is that right, Fruity? Do you know?
No idea.
No, all right, Fruity.
No, I don't. No, I honestly don't know where he's going. He hasn't shared it.
No, he hasn't shared
No, they're a fucking nuisance. Yeah.
Are you talking about being a nuisance, Bob?
Hi, mate.
Oh, look, Winston was there this morning as well.
He wants to play.
Of course he does. What are you offering him? A bit of chow pot?
Well, it was an elephant. No,
it's like a bloody dead cat.
I know beef's expensive, but that's going a bit far, isn't it?
Yeah.
But remember on the Canberra, obviously, every lunchtime for the passengers, there'd be a curry option for lunch. Each lunchtime. Was that, I presume, was that the same on all the old P&O ships?
Yeah.
The curry on every lunch, every day.
There was a rating actually on it, going rating, which was curry cook. That was his job, just making curries.
Yeah, curry cook.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And was it the same on the Sun Princess? I can't remember.
I don't think we had a curry every lunchtime. I'm not sure about that.
Once a week normally.
Can't remember it.
Right.
I can remember lamb curry. There was always lamb curry on.
Probably it would be in the mess rooms, probably, but I'm not sure about passenger menus.
Yeah.
You used to have a dry curry on the old ships. And...
Oh yeah, well they were one.
That
of
was
the
really
best.
good.
That was usually after or the day before galley rounds, because I used to clear out all the fridges in the larder, all the cold meats, which was all minced up. I mean, it was a mixture of meats, corned beef, ham, pork, whatever there was, all went in the dry curry. But it made a wonderful curry, and it was never the same when they started using fresh mince and that sort of thing. Never tasted the same.
No, that was my favourite, that dry curry.
Yeah, it was mine as well.
Yeah.
Is that the one they called the dal curry?
Yeah, with dal
Yeah.
on the top and
I
fried
like that.
onions, crispy fried onions.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love that one. Yeah, and he used to do a curry sauce with it, didn't he?
Well, it was a dal sauce.
Dal sauce. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that was my favourite.
Yeah.
I can hear another recipe coming up.
Gizzy, and all Aron saying that. Was
Sorry,
that on the Aron? Was that on the Aron say, or even?
No, I'm sure on the Sun and the PP. I think we used to. No, probably. Which one did we have to go and ease on? Was it the Sun or the PP?
Sun Princess.
Sun, yeah.
They've
I'm
been on
sure we
there.
used to have it on the Sun.
Yeah,
Also, Dave, particularly at the Sea Princess, in the last couple of years, we used to always get a curry every day on the crew
Yeah.
It
was always a
Again,
curry
that
on
was
CP.
Sea Princess was P&O, really, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's probably where I remember it more recently from, because that was my last ship. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
That was. I like to see you when you sent your greetings to Kevin Smith, that you called him by his name.
Of course, Minge. Did we know him by anything else, Fruity?
No.
Fruity, can you enlighten us? Or Gizzy, can you enlighten us? How did the name come about?
Basically, no, I can't.
No, I don't know either.
He just turned up on the Sea Princess one day, didn't he? Settled in, and we handed up to one of the bars. You know, I said, "Oh, here's a bit of lavender," and I think somebody says, "Oh, smells like minge or something," and it stuck.
Talking of nicknames, did you see that clip on YouTube? I think it was of the Aussie DJs, and they were talking about nicknames, and they were swapping these funny nicknames. And the funniest one I heard was there's a guy at this place of work, and he had a limp, and they nicknamed him the Sniper's Nightmare because he was never still. I thought it was a brilliant nickname.
Well, it's like, I mean, as you all know, I was known as Super Tart, but that all started on the Oriana in 1972, I think it was. And David Bruck, I don't know if any of you remember David Bruck, but I think he was a writer then. But we had this silly thing on there. It was when Jesus Christ Superstar was the big thing. And everybody got called Super. And the laundryman was Super Nicks, and, you know, ascertaining the job, accommodation was Super Latties. And somebody said, "Oh, what about the baker?" "Oh, Super Tart." And that's how it came about. And that's how I became Super Tart. Nothing else. Wasn't nothing sinister.
Well, just before I retired from my pub, we used to have a guy that come in here once a week, was known as TikTok. And we said, "How did he get his name?" "Well, one of his hands, he'd got 3 fingers missing, so we called him TikTok. One hand bigger than the other."
When I retired, and on my last what they call it, the galley thing you do at the end of the cruise when we all go in the restaurant, and I used to go in last. I mean, the chef and they was all there, and then it all went back, and the bakers were the last ones to go in. So all my bakers went, and I always went the last one in, you see. Well, on my last one I did, the captain wanted me to go in first, and he wanted to make an announcement and toast me, you know, for happy retirement sort of thing. So anyway, we do this, and I'm at the captain's table with the chef, and I think Jan Bacon was the maitre d' at the time, and we're there, and Mike Carr was the captain, and is going through quite a few things that well, I've known John for 30 odd years, and he led me astray a few times. Well, I don't remember that ever happening, but anyway. And he said, I'm going to tell you something now. He said, he's not going to appreciate me telling you, but I'm going to tell you anyway. He said, he's affectionately known through the fleet as Super Tart.
Oh, my God.
That was in front of a full restaurant of passengers.
I've just got I've
I
just
did.
got
I
a
will
text
say that
here.
when I walked back out, they was all standing up, clapping and shaking my hands, and I've got to admit, it was very. I was in tears by the time I got to the end of the restaurant.
Yeah. I bet you're glad he said super title, not Hilda, though, John.
I've just got a text from the. I've just got a text from the colonel.
Yeah.
He says they're offering $2,000 a person to get off the plane and fly tomorrow, but we would miss the ship.
Oh, you're joking.
So, yeah.
They are.
So I don't think he's taking the money.
No, not this time.
I remember there was one guy, I know which ship it was on, he was an engineer, and they used to call him the Candle. And
The Candle?
So he said, why do you call him the Candle? He says, because he's always getting fucking blown out.
But
There was a girl-
Hilda started was again. I think that was a Ronzi back in the '60s, and it was before they had the entertainers and cruise directors that they have now, and the deputy captain or staff captain, whatever it was called at that time, was in charge of the entertainment, and he used to put this show on with ship's company. And I was in it with the second chef. We did something or other, I can't remember what it was now. But at the end, we're all stood on stage, you see, and the deputy captain was Roy Cookman at the time, and he's going through telling the passengers, oh, this is so-and-so, this is so-and-so, and he gets to me. And then we've got John our chief baker, and Derek Dalton, who was the second chef, standing next to me and said in quite a loud voice, shouldn't be John the baker, it should be Hilda Baker. And that's how that one came about.
I remember Nevin Wright had his name, because he was known as Natasha.
Yeah.
And he had his name badge changed to Natasha. He used to wear Natasha on his badge. Everyone called him Tash, you know. But if you didn't have a nickname, I remember on the Sun Princess, everyone called you Miss. Because it was such a outrage. I remember it was Miss Inge, Miss Cole, Miss Butcher. If you didn't have a nickname, you were christened Miss.
Yeah.
Until they found one for you.
Yeah.
There was a female peeress, I think it was on the Royal, and she had a punter that was giving her a hard time. He was like one of these Mr. Angries, and he had ordered a Bloody Mary, so she filled the straw with Tabasco sauce, and then put it in the Bloody Mary, and then served it to him. I think I was a bartender. I ended up having to apologize. The passenger came back. He was super angry. He'd taken a big suck on the straw and got a mouthful of Tabasco sauce, and we sort of played it down and said it was a mistake. You know, it was somebody wanted a really hot Bloody Mary and it was a mistake, and the order got mixed up. But from that point on, we called her Hot Stuff.
What did you call the passenger? Hot lips.
Yeah. Hot lips. Yeah.
I don't know if you remember. Do you remember when we used to do the turnarounds in Acapulco and we did the margaritas?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, we'd be out there in the back making buckets loads of this stuff, and you know, somebody be turning the glasses with the salt. And do you remember Nellie Wallace?
Yeah.
He'd been ashore all night in Acapulco, and he looked absolutely awful.
Hang on, no disrespect, but I never saw Nelly look any other difference.
Any different?
I always remember this black American guy. He'd ordered a margarita, and Nelly had served him, and he says, "Can you get me another one?" Anyway, Nelly disappeared, and I don't know how long we're down there, 10, 15 minutes. I walk by this guy, and he says to me, "You got another margarita?" So I give him one. He said, "I ordered one 15 minutes ago after old man, the man who shuffle."
The old man who shuffle. Oh, well, after a night out in Acapulco, I'm surprised you could even shuffle.
On a similar vein, we used to have margarita party sailways in Mazatlan, and we had these giant blenders, and we were blending them up and putting them into a big clean plastic garbage pail. And Fast Eddie had been ashore all afternoon at Senior Frogs, and he turned up for work. He was so drunk, I don't know if you guys remember Fast Eddie. When he was drunk, he'd sort of pinwheel around and wave his arms like this, right? and it was in the back pantry of the International Lounge, and the floor was wet because we were scooping out all these things, and he fell into the garbage pail of margaritas, and we flipped him up quickly, so he went headfirst down into the whole garbage can, and then pulled him out. Carried on serving the margaritas out of the garbage can. Yeah.
Wow.
Sounds bad, but it's really true.
Oh God, you know, they were really manic. Those turnarounds, and that margarita was a right workout, wasn't it? Because you'd have to, you know, salt rim hundreds of glasses. You know, it was a real pain. You know, but
do you think anything like this happens on the ships these days? I don't think so.
David, was it only the salt rim that was the real thing?
Here we go.
You know, earlier on we were talking about Andy Hiscock.
You're a cunt.
And I remember when we went Australian cruising on the PP, I was working with Andy and Dave Hale in the Pacific Lounge, and these Aussie, I don't know if you can remember what one of these Aussie drinks used to have was the Fallen Angel. Can you remember that?
Yeah.
Advocar, cherry brandy and lemonade, wasn't it? Something like this. And there was this girl walked in off the after deck one day, just a bikini, well pissed, and stood at the bar, and she said, "Can I have 2 Fallen Angels?" She said. Well, she got this young girl with her that was probably 12 or 13, I don't know, you know, but she obviously wasn't 18. And Andy says, "Who are they for?" He says, "Well, one's for me and one's for whatever her name was." And he says, "Well, is she 18? She says, well, does she look it?" He says, "No, not really." He says, "Well, do one without any alcohol in it then." So Andy says, "So basically what you want then is 2 virgin angels, but one fucked." Oh dear. Andy could get away with it though, couldn't he?
Yeah.
He's so funny, and he always had a word for the day, didn't he? He always had a word for the day. So that was
2 virgin angels, one fucked.
Yeah. Talking about with Andy doing all that, who was the violinist that used to play in the UJ bar during the daytime? Then he'd go around the restaurant.
Oh yeah.
He was like Romanian or Bulgarian or something.
Yeah, because
like
he had a spot in This Is Your Life, if I remember rightly. I can't remember his name there.
Was it Nino something? Nino? Well, I can remember who you mean now. Yeah, he was East European, wasn't he?
Yeah. It's only because he used to always come up when it was really busy in the UJ, like we all know it. But he used to come up and he'd want a polystyrene cup of coffee, but he'd always ask for 2, so he wouldn't have to come back and disturb us, you know, unnecessarily. So he'd order 2 up. Well, the word of the day at the time was, Andy'd come up, we said, we're going to use the word brace, as in a brace of pheasants, you know, a pair of pheasants, you know. So he said, use that as often as you can do. So he came up, he says, "Can I have two cups of coffee?" And I said, "No, you want a brace, don't you? You want a brace of coffees?" Yeah, he said, "Yeah, all right, yeah, I'll have a brace of coffees." And then, so he went off and he came back again, not that long after. And he said, "Look, can I have a brace of coffees?" I said, "Look, do us a favor. Next time you come, order 4 and just ask Andy for a pair of braces."
Can I tell you a story about a famous violinist?
Yes.
There was a famous violinist used to go on the Canberra, and back in those days, they used to have the classical concerts in the Meridian Room.
That's right.
And the fruit machine room was next to the Meridian Room. And because the machines used to make so much noise, we used to have to shut the fruit machines down while the classical concert was going on. So this particular night, it was the second sitting concert. So I closed down for first sitting, gone back, I opened up again, closed down for second sitting, gone down, I don't know, I might have been down the Lead Man's Bar, I might have been up and having a drink with Polly or someone. Anyhow, when I went to go back up, if you remember, if you came round, it must have been down the Lead Man's Bar, if you came back up onto the promenade deck, there was a door by the side that you could go in by the Century Bar. And I opened the door, opened the door, and this violinist is playing. As I opened the door, the wind went in and all his fucking music flew up in the air. I flew back out.
And my next number will be Gone with the Wind.
John, I can't remember what he was a very famous violinist.
I don't remember.
I can't remember what his name was.
Does anybody remember Paul McLeod and his mighty organ?
Oh yes, his cabin was next to me on the Himalaya. That was the first time he did a P&O ship. He joined in Sydney, and I was on the Himalaya at the time, and his cabin backed onto mine. I got to know him, and Trevor Friday was the second chef on there. Anyway, we got to know him, and when we got back to the UK, because he hadn't been to the UK before, and he came down and stayed with Trevor. Well, we took him out around various places, and one of them was a hotel on the Isle of Sheppey. The owners were friends with the Cray brothers, in actual fact. But we took him there, and there's a big hall there. They used to do drag shows and all this sort of thing there. Anyway, they got an organ there, and Paul was sitting. We were sitting near the stage, and he was watching this and all the rest of it. And the guy came over to us afterwards and spoke. So we introduced him and said, "Well, this is Paul McLeod, is an organist with P&O on the P&O ships." So he said, "Oh, would you like to give us a tune?" So Paul gets up there and starts playing sing-along tunes, you see. Well, nobody was singing. So Paul, in his Australian accent voice, said, "Come along, you pommy bastards, let's hear you."
His phrase was too much.
Who remembers the wonderful Glenn Martha? You remember him?
Glenn Arthur, yeah.
Yes, Glenn Arthur. So with him sing Ronsay, I think.
Okay, no, that's some fun with him at times.
Yeah, Ronsay.
He used to fall off his bloody stool.
Who was the other guy on the Canberra? Colin Hindmarsh.
Yeah.
So that name rings a bell too.
Yeah. He's on Facebook as well. I think is he not on this? Yeah, I'm sure I've seen him on Facebook actually.
Right.
Colin.
I didn't even know he was still alive, John, to be honest.
But yeah, I'm sure he is. Or
I think I've seen some postings on Facebook from a bloke called Colin Hindmarsh, but I didn't recognise the name. Sure, I've seen him though recently.
Because he was Aussie. He was Australian as well, wasn't he?
I think so. Yeah.
He was. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh well.
Well, that was good news then, to hear he's still alive and well then, isn't it?
Not another one we buried years ago, like the caveman.
We're trying to keep as many going as possible, and we're deciding, oi, that one's still alive. Right.
I can remember going back, it was about 1993, something like that. They were surprised to find out I was still alive because someone said I died.
Oh no, Fruity!
You only ever died on the stage, Fruity.
That was what's the name?
It was a different Fruity.
Who was the one that she sang? Beryl Davis.
Beryl Davis.
We've said it before, yeah. But we used to call her Burial Davis. Yeah.
There was a pianist in the Crow's Nest when I was on Canberra. I was relieving in there for Ray, who lost his leg, and Guy Paget. They'd gone on leave, and I went up there to relieve them for the 2 weeks. So it was a nice little learner. But they had a pianist there called Grace Rich. Do you remember Grace Rich? Well, the swimming pool attendant from the Alice Springs bar was in love with her. A guy called Roy Fletcher, and Anyway, one day we're in the lounge and we're going around with our trays and we're serving the drinks and everything. And all of a sudden there's a massive scream from the piano from Grace Rich, and it was Roy Fletcher had gone in on his hands and knees and then turned around and was laying on his back listening to her play the piano, but he was actually underneath the piano. And it had a few. Of course, it freaked her out. And he said, I only wanted to listen to you tickle the up. He got frog marched out. Roy Fletcher. Yeah. Hilarious. He was back in the swimming pool the next day. I mean, he was character. Yeah. Grace Rich, and even had a talking T-shirts. He had the Grace Rich fan club T-shirt made up. I've got a picture of it somewhere. Oh. Roy Fletcher. Did you ever come across him? Roy Fletcher.
Doesn't ring a bell. No.
Alan Busby knows him very well.
Yeah. Has anybody been in touch with Alan Busby at all? Know where he is?
Well, funny you should say that, Gizzy, because the Colonel asked me if I could get in touch with him. Well, I've not. He goes into a pub called the White Horse in town, and I occasionally go in it because it's run by a couple of guys I used to work with. And because of what's been going on with sharing stuff, I've not been out in the pubs for months, so I've not seen him. So I got John to send an email to the landlord of the pub, Julian, who knows Alan very well. Alan's a regular in there.
Oh, right.
And to pass the message on. So fingers crossed. But I'm hoping to get down the White Horse soon and just see if he's around.
Yeah, if I recollect, he was from a place called Newbiggin by the Sea, wasn't he? Up in Geordieland.
You could listen to Alan all night long. He's one of those guys. He sailed on every sort of ship you can think of. He wasn't just passenger ships. He did coal bloody carriers, tankers, gas ships, coastal vessels.
Yeah, dredgers.
He did a lot.
Yeah,
he did a lot. Yeah, there wasn't much.
I thought he'd ended up in South Africa, to be honest.
No, he's in Dover actually, but I can't remember. Ollie, we were there, weren't we, Ollie? We were in the pub.
That's right. Yeah, when I came and saw you.
Yeah.
2 years ago.
We were sat having a pint, Ollie and me, and he walked in.
Yeah.
Couldn't believe it.
Did he look as good as ever? I mean, he was a good-looking lad.
Yeah, he looks he's obviously aged a bit, but he's still got a full head of hair, that soft Geordie voice.
Yeah.
Got a big moustache as well, didn't you, at one time?
I can't remember if he still had the moustache.
Yeah, he used to have a moustache at one time.
He did, yeah. He's a great guy.
Fantastic.
Yeah. I think I was on the camera with him.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sure he was on The Sun, wasn't he?
Yeah, I think he got around, Alan. He really was.
Yes, he was. He was on The Sun.
He really did the rounds.
Yeah, I think The Sun and the PP I sold with him. Yeah.
And he was on the U Gang, on the Canberra, and all sorts of things. He did it all.
He'd been all over the place.
Yeah.
Going back to the wandering violin player, when I was on the Fair Princess, we had Portuguese bar staff there, and I got to know a lot of them really quite well, and we'd go out for supper and dinner and things like this. And Karma, my wife, we were in Acapulco. We went out for dinner with one of the Portuguese bartender, Lopez. I can't think of his last name. He's another person I'd like to get in touch.
Loco.
And we were in this nice restaurant, and the mariachi band came over, and I had been practicing my Spanish, and the band came over and they said Musica Romantica, and I turned around and said, no gracias de mi esposa, which basically means no thanks, this is my wife, because I was with my wife. And of course they cracked up, and Lopez cracked up, and my wife Karma had no idea what I had said.
Might have been another Will Smith moment.
Oi. Yeah. That's true. Oh dear. So now talking about Mexico and Acapulco, who had a favourite port along the west coast in Acapulco? And Charlie, bear with me. You may not have done the west coast. I don't know, but looking at most of the faces, I've seen that most of the boys will have. But if I ask Hilda, which was your favourite, and it
Got to be Acapulco when we used to do the cruising down there. Arrive Friday morning and sail midnight on Sunday.
Yeah. Good weekends they were.
Yeah, yeah.
But
as long as you didn't
I
get
can't
in
relate
trouble
what I
with
got
the
up to, but
Dave, as long as you didn't get in trouble with the locals, because I remember you got into a potentially dangerous situation at a nightclub when you popped some local's balloon with your cigarette. Do you remember that?
I only because you've reminded me. Ray, yes, yeah. It was one of the nightclubs. There was quite a few good nightclubs in Acapulco, wasn't there? And it was Baby O's, I think, was one with all the rocks like features. But there was this one nightclub we went into, and it was like a net hanging over the dance floor full of balloons. And at a certain time of the evening, all of a sudden the net was let go, and all these balloons appeared on stage and over everybody's heads, and we all claimed a balloon. You know, I had obviously taken part in the full evening of consumption of alcohol, and I got it in my head that whoever had the last balloon was the winner. And I just went round popping everybody else's balloon. Well, of course, most of them it didn't matter, but there were a few of the local cans, as in Mexicans, that didn't like what had happened, and it then got a little bit feisty. And I do remember the dance floor was on one level. Then you had one more. It was like the International Lounge, but not as high. But you had levels going up. And all I remember, who remembers Manchester Mick?
Manchester Mick, yeah.
Well, he was my knight in shining armor, because I got set upon on the dance floor, and all I saw was Mick getting up on his next level up, and he climbed over the edge and dived in on the dance floor. I then get carried out looking like a log. I was literally horizontal, carried out, thrown out, and then Manchester Mick came out afterwards, and we're sort of walking away to get a taxi. Well, these locals, they haven't given up. They want something else, you know. So they're coming towards us, and of course we're walking backwards and go, yeah, all right, come on, yeah, all right. And then next thing is Manchester Mick disappears down this manhole. And I'm looking at gone down the bloody hole. So I sort of get him out, and we get into a taxi to get back to the ship. And it's like the Keystone Cops. They get into one behind us, and we're all waving out the windows, and they're chasing us back to the ship. Oh, look, but I'm here to tell the tale. So, I mean, we survived, but it was.
Was that the Dome disco? Was it the Dome?
It was Le Dome, yeah.
Le Dome, yeah. That was.
Yeah. And it was
down there.
Le Jardin was another one.
Yeah. I remember going to the.
It was great. It was so good. But yeah. I loved only because of the name more than anything. I loved Z Watanabe. I mean,
that was very natural, that one at that time, because there weren't many cruise ships go in there or
not at all.
Anything else. It was very still very.
That wasn't far from Acapulco either, was it?
No,
it was only just up the coast,
around the corner, really.
Yeah, that's right. Just up the coast, wasn't it? Yeah. Watanabe.
Yeah.
And then Manzanillo, where they filmed 10, wasn't it, with Bo Derek? That was Manzanillo.
Yeah, I went there, yeah.
And then you had Oscar's Latte in Mazatlan. And then
in Acapulco, in one of those villas overlooking the bay, didn't Elizabeth Taylor and Richard Burton had a place there, I believe?
Yeah. And Elvis did too, didn't he?
That was Puerto Vallarta, John.
Puerto Vallarta.
Was that Puerto Vallarta? I thought it was
and they did a film called The Night of the Iguana.
That's right.
That's right. Yeah, he did right.
It put the place on the map. Mm-hmm. And we started cruising there shortly afterwards, of course.
Yeah, there was another port I liked. That one, that was nice as well.
We always used to pile down to Camino Real in Puerto Vallarta, because at the time that was the best hotel around. That was quite nice there.
Yeah.
Where was that the one that we walked to, literally straight off from?
No, you had to get a taxi to that. That was down the coast.
Yeah. You see,
can you remember in Acapulco when we used to go alongside? if you were working late in the starlight and you went to shore, you just sort of went straight down the gangway after you got dock gate, turned right, and down some steps, and there used to be a bar down there. What was it called?
Yeah.
I don't know that.
I know where you mean.
We always used to have an unwritten agreement that we'd end up there. At
That's
the end
right. It
of
was
the
always
night
last
too.
stop on the way back, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't think what it was called, but I can remember going down there time after
I
time.
remember that one.
No.
I know if
falling down
I,
the bloody steps.
I know sometimes
I'd
if I
say-
was working late and especially it was sailing night, midnight sort of thing, and we finished, I used to just go off the ship to the little restaurants along the side there with the tables outside, and just sit there and have a Cuba Libre and watch the world go past for an hour,
What,
sort of
the
thing.
rat cage.
I couldn't tell you what it was called.
I stayed-
Those little bars
I
along there, they
stayed-
all had a couple of tables out on the pavements and just sit out there and watch the world go past with a Cuba Libre.
There was a famous
I
bar
stayed,
in Ensenada, wasn't there? What was that one in Ensenada we used to go to? Ensenada.
Husong's.
Husong's Cantina.
You're right. I remember going in there one time. We were all shooting the market. There's four of us around the table, and the winner was the one that stayed up. And we had to be on the chair, back on two legs, and then hit your tequila back while you were on the two legs. And then you came back. But of course,
yeah.
If you remember, everybody had a Husong's Cantina T-shirt, didn't they?
That's right. Yeah.
I went there with the caveman. It's a pity the caveman's not on because he'll remember this. He took me ashore. We went in Ensenada. I was maybe I just turned 18. We didn't think we would get in, but we did. And he goes, "Let's go and we're going to have some mezcal. We're going to have some mezcal, man." And we sat at the bar, and he ordered 6 shots of mezcal, and the guy put 6 shot glasses up on the table, up on the bar counter, and he took this bottle and he started pouring 1, 2, 3, 4, and in the last shot, there was 3 in front of Kevin and 3 in front of me, and the last shot of mine emptied the bottle, and out falls this maggot into the glass. And I'm like, "Oh my God, there's a maggot in my glass." He goes, "Oh man, you got the worm. You got the worm, man. You're gonna drink the worm." I'm like, "The worm? What do you mean the worm? It's a maggot." It was this big fat, which to me was like a maggot we used to fish with, and he wanted me to drink it, and there was no fucking way I was gonna drink it, but he drank it. Yeah, he downed it.
Ray, I've just put up the other bar that you and Caveman went to.
What is it?
Huertas.
Huertas, yeah.
Everyone went there.
Huertas the knocking shop.
Yeah, I've got some
It's
stories
still going,
about
I believe.
that too.
Yeah, we went there one night, and we took the girls came as well, and from the salon, Pat and all the girls went as well, and we're all dancing on the dance floor there, and then all the girls that were working there came on, and they started roughing up the girls, they
pinching them.
They said, what are you doing? He said, "We're just here for a dance," and they thought that the girls were there to take a bit of their business, so
a bit of trade.
I was there.
They'd already had that business.
Sorry, much handbag did you make that?
I was there that night, Dave. I remember they were they were actually bruised. The girls were bruised the next day because they'd been pinched by these girls, right? Yeah.
Yeah, the competition's arrived.
Yes.
I believe it's still going, Dave, isn't it, Huerta? It's still actually operating as a club. It's still going in Acapulco.
I believe so. Yeah, 'cause, I mean, I went online when I wanted to get this picture, whenever it was, and there were pictures of it going back of even before our time. When we were there in the 70s or whatever it was, 70s and 80s. Yeah. But before that, so I think it's still going.
You don't get many ships there now, though, do you, Acapulco?
No, well, sadly, Acapulco got a bit of a bad press.
Bad name, didn't it, for drugs?
It wasn't a safe place to go. A lot of cruise ships pulled out from there, I believe.
Yeah, I don't know if they still go there, do they?
No, I don't.
I don't see it on many itineraries anymore.
Right.
No.
They seem to call it is it a place in Costa Rica, a bit further down? I've never heard of, but when they're coming up from Panama now, they call it some place at Costa Rica and then go up to LA.
Mm-hmm.
There was another place in Acapulco to the left when you came off the ship where we used to go sometimes too. That was kind of had an outside patio, and the food was really good there too. But there was big rats there running around.
Yeah, that was the rat cage.
The rat cage. There you go. That's it.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, yeah.
Just to the left on the right hand side.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
I remember the first time I ever went to Acapulco, it was tendered. And sure, we got off the boat onto the quayside, and there was a load of trees there. I don't know if it's still like that. And we could hear this squeaky noise. What the fucking hell is that? And I looked up in the trees, and the trees were full of rats. And
Trees?
yeah, there were trees all along where we got off the boat.
Yeah, I've never heard of that before.
Yeah, well, it was there. I mean, it might have been a long time ago. It might be different now, but it was then. Yeah, don't believe me. The whole of the branches of the trees were full of bloody rats. Horrible. Oh.
But they used to have to put the guards over the ropes, didn't they? When they was tying up to stop the rats coming up the ropes of the ship.
And what are they? They are called rat.
They are called rat guards. Yeah.
Yeah, called rat guards. Yeah.
Yeah.
Rat guards. Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Charlie, did you have any? I don't want to go into too in-depth experiences you may or may not have had in Acapulco, but did you have a few visits there?
I did. I went to La Huertas once or twice.
I wasn't going into too much
I was
detail.
trying to enhance my dancing skills.
Well, horizontal ones.
Yeah.
Oh, very good, very good. Yeah.
No,
I lost
plenty of enjoyable times there.
Yeah. There were some good times to be had. Yeah.
I lost my wallet.
And what happened there stays there, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Ray, you say you lost your what there?
I lost my wallet in Acapulco.
Oh, I thought you said something else.
Yeah, we all lost a little something there.
Yeah, we all lost it somewhere.
We all lost something there, Ray.
That was probably on a lift on the Sun Princess.
No, actually, no. This is. I got to tell you this. I went ashore with a bunch of. I think it was I think it was the Harrys or the shop girls. I can't remember. It might have been casino staff. We went to this bar and they were putting hard hats on your head and doing puffers on your head. You know, the shooter.
Oh yeah.
Shot glass, half full of tequila with 7-Up. Slam it on your head and drink them. Yeah. The girls that I was with, there was about 6 of us. They had cash with them and they didn't want to hold it, so they gave it to me. So I had about $500 stuffed in my wallet. And when we came out of the bar, there was one of those horse carriages there. So we also, let's get on the horse carriage, and we start going back to the ship on the horse carriage, and we were dancing in the back like this. And when we got to that place where we used to meet late at night,
yes,
I got out. We all got out of the horse carriage, and I went to pay, and my wallet, which was in my back pocket, was gone. And I was like, "Oh shit, my wallet's gone, right?" And so I had this thought in my mind, because we've been dancing, that maybe it had fallen out of my pocket. And in my drunken state, I started running back down the road. It was the middle of the night. It was dark. There was some street lamps here and there. And I ran. I remember running so hard because I was drunk, basically. And I got about 300 yards down the road and was just starting to think what a stupid idea this was. And there was a bus stop with some people standing by the bus stop. And right in the middle of the road, there was this little tiny dark shape. And I ran up to it, and there was my wallet lying in the middle of the road. With all the money in it. I stepped out. Those other people were like 10, 15 feet away from me. I bent down, picked it up, put it in my pocket, and ran back.
Flipping heck. No, that was. Jeez.
It wouldn't have been there much longer, I know.
No.
Yeah.
Hey, well, look, boys. The time has now flown, and it has really flown. And we couldn't leave the crew bar on a higher note than Sakhri's going to buy us the next round when we're back next week with a brand new show. All right.
Oh, he's probably lost his wallet again.
Exactly. Yeah, we've all lost our wallets, Ray, but that's the best one ever. That is wonderful. So anyway, look, on behalf of Colonel, who's now in flight, and Steve Walker, who's in float, along with Angelo, who's also with Miss Heggie, they're still cruising. On behalf of all of them, have a safe week, and we'll look forward to seeing you all next week. And thanks for coming in.
Right.
Well done,
All right,
Dave.
now you know what to do. The imaginary music is now starting, and we'll all wave goodbye. Bob's already in tears. He's got his tissue there. It's too much. It's gone. It's gone.
Hey, good night,
All right.
Winston.
Cheers, boys. We'll see you next
Ollie,
week.
good
Hello, everyone. This is Oscar from Ollie's Pocket with Oscar Tales. More Mazatlan tales. Donkey. A dog's tale. One Christmas, I received a Christmas present from my sister, made by her during a handicraft lesson at school. It was made from a scrap of white fluffy material that fitted over a marmalade jar or old-fashioned glass. On it had been stitched a black velvet mouth with a little red tongue, a black leather nose, and it had 2 brown bead eyes and little ears. It rather an attractive face, and I asked her what it was. Her reply was, "It's a gonk." I took it with me back to sea after my Christmas leave and joined my next ship. I had it at sea for a few years, and when I got an apartment in Mazatlan, it wound up on a shelf in the bedroom. "What is that?" asked Carlos, my roommate. "Why, it's a gonk," I replied, and thought no more of it. On my next leave, I flew home from Vancouver via Los Angeles, as we were on Alaska cruising on the Sun Princess. There was a surprise awaiting me in the apartment. It would seem that Carlos had acquired an extra roommate. He was holding a white ball of fur that wriggled and squirmed and emitted little squeaks and yaps of excitement. His brother-in-law and sister had returned from a trip to Guadalajara with a Highland Terrier and presented it to Carlos as an early birthday present. We later discovered that their generosity was because they had found out after returning home that one of their daughters was allergic to his fur and could not stop sneezing. Of course, my next question was, and what is this little chap called? "Why, Gonky, of course," said Carlos, "because he looks exactly like your gonk on the shelf in your bedroom." So Gonky he was, and he was such a lovely and friendly little dog, and loved to be taken for walks, even more than walks along the seafront. Loved to play on the beach, and also loved going in the sea for a swim, which was not so easy for a little dog with short legs on a beach that had surf crashing onto it. His fondness for water also extended to fondness of showers with anyone who happened to be taking one. This was because of his long white fur and the heat of Mazatlan, sticky, humid summer weather, and his desire to cool off. There was a drawback, as the first thing he would do after a shower was go into my bedroom and shake off the excess water from his fur. It would fly hither and thither, all over my bed counterpane and anything else within a 50-foot radius. I solved this by having an extra large towel in the bathroom, and at the moment he'd finished showering, I would wrap my towel around me and then throw a big towel around Gonky, pick him up, carry him up the spiral staircase to the roof, and release him to go and shake himself dry, and get his damp fur dried in the sun. He'd love being on the roof and lived there during the day when Carlos was at work. He had a covered wash house for clothes washing to retreat into if the sun got too hot. This contained his water bowl and provided cool shade, but still caught the breezes. He could not get up or down the spiral staircase, so he was always carried and could not escape the roof. He used to run from side to side, peering down into the busy street and all the people and tourists. He would get very agitated and incessantly bark at the grey city buses. They were of the American school bus model with long bonnets or hoods. For some reason, he seemed to retain a special hatred for these monsters, as he saw them. I cannot for the life of me figure out why he had developed such a loathing for them, though having travelled on them to the shops, I can understand it. One morning, on his day off, Carlos announced that we were going to the beach for sunbathing and a picnic. In the kitchen, I duly made sandwiches, packed water, fruits, and a bowl for Gonky's water to go in, placed the items in a rucksack with my towel and suntan lotion, and lastly, clipped Gonky's lead onto his collar. "What are you doing, Alan?" said a rather disapproving voice. He went on. "He is not coming to the beach with us, as he will shake sand all over me and be a nuisance." I went to Gonky's defence. "No, he won't," I said. "I will look after him and keep him occupied." So off we went to the beach, which was very close to the house. Once there, Carlos put his towel on the sand, put on suntan oil, and laid down, and presently drifted off to sleep. Gonky and my good self went for a walk along the seafront in Mazatlan, and then returned to the sleeping Carlos. Taking off my clothes down to my bathing trunks, we both went into the sea. I picked up the little dog and carried him into the surf, and as a huge wave overtook us, launched him into the crest of the wave, and he literally dog paddled and surfed the wave onto the beach. He then turned tail and chased the retreating wave back into the ocean, barking at it in mock anger, and then realizing that another huge wave was on its way, turned tail and headed to the safety of the land. I picked him up again, and we repeated the little game over and over again. We'd actually done this little act together on several previous beach trips when Carlos was at work. Getting tired of the game, Gonky decided to go and see what his master Carlos was up to. Before I could stop him, he had raced up to the edge of the towel on which his lordship reposed and blissfully slumbered in the sun. Gonky, now feeling somewhat wet, enthusiastically shook himself dry. Water and sand, lots of sand, went all over the sleeping figure, who awoke with a loud yell and stumbled to his feet like an awakening monster. He arose only to find his oil-covered body was liberally and evenly covered in sand. I arrived at the scene just in time to grab Gonky and rescue him before Carlos could do him harm. He was mad as a wet hen, which he somewhat resembled, and the picnic was abandoned, and we all trudged off home so Carlos could shower and clean up. He did not allow Gonky in the shower, and when he tried, he was shut out and the door firmly closed. Dinner that evening was a frosty affair. Carlos was not speaking, and poor Gonky was outlawed to the roof. A fall was not obtained until next evening, when I treated us both to a night out at Senior Frogs. And as the drinks flowed, so did the ice melt. Well, that's all, folks, for this week. From Oscar. Oh, and always remember,